The stalker of St. Augustine was about to be stalked. Bottle blonde Tawny Blazejowski had become a dangerous loose cannon, menacing 16 people from coast to coast for 7 months, all connected to her ex-fiancé, Joe Good.
How would you define what Tawny did to you?
It was total harassment.
She got him fired, humiliated, blasting his nude photo to his bosses, arrested, accusing him of beating her, investigated, claiming he ran a children's porn ring.
I did everything I could to stay away from her. She was one step ahead of me the whole time.
Cleverly convincing the sheriff's office that Joe Good was bad news.
It was disturbing. Every time you see a police car drive by, are they coming for me? You're on pins and needles all the time.
Not content with just Joe and her crosshairs, Tawny was targeting his kids and even people she never met. His co-workers, his new girlfriend, his girlfriend's landlord. When a desperate Joe asks attorney Brian Shorstein for help, Shorstein flinched.
So you were afraid that she would come after you?
You never knew who would be the target of what it is she was doing. Does anybody want to get involved with this thing?
But he took the risk. First, convincing the sheriff's office that Joe was no victimizer, he was the victim.
The first thing that came into our mind was, what are we missing?
Detectives George Harrigan and Shannon Andrews began connecting the dots.
Because she had manipulated law enforcement for so long, it was time that we get to the bottom of this and we get the real story.
And quickly, because now Tawny was turning her venom on more children. Joe Good's new girlfriend, Mariella, reported an anonymous letter threatening her then 17-year-old daughter, Erin.
Said, "This is what Erin will look like the next time Mariella sees her, if she sees or even talks to Joe Good one more time." And attached was a picture of a mutilated body.
What a horrific thing to send.
This is a death threat.
You're taking it a step too far.
She was the stalker at one point, but when this happened, she became the stalked.
Stalked by investigators and soon enough unable to hide behind her lies. And then a breakthrough in the case. Finding out the anonymous report sent to law enforcement hotlines originated, from Tawny's computer.
You leave an electronic trail, that all came back to her.
It was enough evidence to get a search warrant and show up at Tawny's house.
You knocked on the door, she was home.
Yes.
What'd she look like?
Like a mother at home with her kids.
Totally normal.
Totally normal.
But there was nothing normal about the tiny spiral notebooks Tawny kept in her bedroom. Turns out while her kids were studying, Tawny was scheming.
So this is the first notebook that you saw?
Yes.
So you start flipping through it, and what goes through your mind?
That I can't believe it's actually all here.
7 notebooks, hundreds of pages, daily notes to herself. It's explosive evidence in Tawny's own schoolgirl's handwriting. A meticulous list of her many lies, every detail of her sinister plan in plain ink. Reminders, print naked pic, call self 1,000,000 times, even get picture of decomposed corpse. Dates, March 11th, filed police report on Joe. March 21st, Joe arrested at work. March 28th, made report of child abuse. And once completed, each dirty deed crossed off the list. On the margins, the haunting word, done.
I certainly did not think I would walk out of that home and have a manuscript of everything she had done and planned on doing.
The cat had become the mouse, and Tawny had set her own trap. Tawny was arrested that night.
And once we explained to her that she would be arrested, she wrote a list out of things for her ex-husband to do in reference to their kids.
She was good at lists.
She was very good at lists.
Be seated, please.
And finally, prosecutors would present a judge with another list, Tawny's lengthy catalog of crimes.
3 counts of threats or extortion, 4 counts of aggravated stalking, and 1 count of false report of abuse, child neglect, or abandonment.
Tawny pleaded no contest to 8 felony counts. Last week, the day before her sentencing, we went to Tawny's house. Her daughter answered the door.
I wanted to know if I could speak to your mother.
I mean, she honestly really isn't available right now.
And she would not make herself available.
Go away, no one's talking to you!
At the courthouse the next day, we interviewed 2 of Tawny's many victims.
If she were sitting right here where I'm sitting, what would you say to her?
But she needs to understand that there's consequences, because I think that she thought she was above the law.
Hold on. Sure. Cameras roll. And suddenly, we spotted Tawny walking out of the courtroom. This time, nowhere to hide.
Maybe you want to say something to your victims. Anything. Do you feel any remorse?
You're smiling. Why are you smiling? Something funny? I'm sorry, something funny. You ruined the people's lives right there. You're telling me you sent them porn. You said that their kids were pedophiles. You accuse them of being pedophiles.
You have nothing to say.
She would finally talk to the judge. The tormentor now begging for leniency.
I'm pleading with you, Your Honor, to please grant me forgiveness. I ask my victims for forgiveness and for mercy, and for you to please not take me away from my children who need me.
Her lawyers argue that she's got obsessive-compulsive disorder and is bipolar, and that those disorders contributed to her crimes. But the judge has heard enough.
That she be committed to the Department of Corrections for a period of 9 years.
9 years in prison plus 2 years of house arrest, and get this, 19 years of probation. But still, for Tawny's many victims, the anger and the fear are imprinted for life. Joe Good is forever transformed by one woman's obsession and those neat little notebooks.
There were some things that were not yet crossed off. Do you think if she hadn't been arrested, she would have kept going?
I'm sure she would have.
Joe Good had been arrested 3 times for not having done anything wrong.
Correct.
I mean, does the department feel guilty about that, or?
Absolutely. It's changed us forever as far as investigators.
While he's waiting for those arrests to be expunged from his record, Joe's gone from making almost 6 figures to doing laundry.
If she were here right now and you could ask her any question or tell her anything, what would you say?
Why couldn't you just let go?
So here's the question tonight. What do you think of that sentence? 9 years in prison, 19 years of probation. Too much or too little for all those lives she changed? Let us know. Use the hashtag ABC2020.